Let's head downstairs for a word of G2's victorious man in the mid lane.
Thank you very much, guys. I am joined by Perks after closing out that series. And the first thing I have to ask you, after playing that way, after securing your first best of 5 internationally, how does it feel to show the world that you can do it?
It just feels really great. Like, I'm so happy and relieved right now. I'm really happy that we actually showed up because I really felt like we were actually a really good team. And in best of ones, we were not really showing up. It was on and off, and we were not prepared like well enough that we should have been. And it just, yeah, it's great.
Talk me through the series then, because WE is a very good team. What was kind of the key elements in your strats and in the way you approached the game to kind of fight their aggression and make sure you could win?
Well, we just knew they're really getting better after facing them already and watching the replays. And like, we just took stronger champs too. Like the winning condition is usually winning through bot lane, like having strong bot lane and then roaming bot and helping them. So we banned like this oppressive lane champs, Karma, Zyra stuff, and their bot lane then is kind of leveled down. And then we have easier time surviving early game, getting to our mid game. Also, we had pretty good early games today, and that's thanks to Trick. He was doing a lot of ganks.
I mean, I think that's a big one there. Trick really stepping up and doing well, and the entire team. Was there kind of a mental click after that TSM win? Is that what you guys like kind of built on and focused your practice on?
Yeah, for sure, because we lost like 9 out of 10 early games in the group stage. So we really practiced hard this week, and the scrim results have been pretty good. And I feel like we improved, so it's just good that it shows.
So Perks, the big question, do you feel like you've been redeemed? Is this enough redemption for you personally?
Well, for me personally, maybe, but I would like to take at least a game of SKT. Like, SKT is undoubtedly the best team in the world by far. So if we can just show a good performance and not get 3-0 smashed, that would be really nice.
I mean, and for you personally, if you could just solo kill Faker, you just had a fantastic tournament. What's gotten into you, man? You've dominated your lane kingdom in practically every game.
It's the books.
It's the books, so finally we have to go, but is there anything you want to say to all the G2 fans and probably recently converted G2 fans that are finally believing and the ones that stuck by you all along?
Well, I would like to thank to all the fans that support us, and finally we redeem ourselves to you, and just keep supporting us, and we will like keep trying our best till the end of my career. For me at least, I would always try my best, and I would like to thank this crowd also. They are so awesome. They pump me up so much when we go on stage, even if when we lost a game and I played pretty bad. Like, I was just really happy to go on stage again. So, yeah, thank you all.
All right, well, thank you also very much, Perks. Fantastic performance by Perks and the squad. G2 heading to the finals. Analyst desk, take it away.
Thank you very much, Shocks. Perks hesitant to call it redemption for the squad, but I'll say it definitively. G2 eSports redeemed for their last year's showing at MSI here, moving on to the finals in 3-1 fashion over Team WE. And I mean, a lot in part to do with that guy there in the mid lane. It was talked about in those first 2 games. He really started the team off on the right foot.
Yeah, and you can see the recognition the crowd is giving him here. They couldn't even hear that interview, but they saw him down on stage and started chanting his name. He completely showed up, and it feels good for a team that isn't usually the fan favorite in Europe to get such support here after a tremendous showing.
It always feels good for you know, hard work to be vindicated and to see it pay off for these guys who have had criticism for so long.
I mean, they came in early, famously at this tournament. They practiced. It's just been a year of redemption for them. Of course, a year ago it was famously MSI 2016, the vacation memes. And then you think of Perks' performance as an individual at MSI, at Worlds, was definitely on a low ebb, definitely had a lot of struggles. Went to IEM Katowice, was MVP of that tournament. Bit of a question mark there. Came to this tournament, and he stepped up a lot here as well. So it's finally, putting the youthful exuberance around, newly 18, newly now 3 splits in as a player, and starting to become a complete player, which is great to see.
And they'll be moving on to face SKT tomorrow. But let's go ahead and bring it back to this Game 4 here and look at how the series closed for G2. Again, we had 0 in here for the second game, and WE went for that Kog'Maw draft once again. But a lot of action in the bot lane starts up right here at 11 minutes. We got a big fight in the bot lane. G2 grab and control the game. We'll take a look at this, see how it started. But this was, again, one of many large team fights.
And another good moment here where G2 have the right level of patience. Sven had both summoners up. He allows himself to be eaten by 0 because that draws Team WE in. They had the right placement on expected teleport. Knockback 7 had the wrong on his, and they turned this fight around.
This is, of course, a 5-man commit from WE. There's no way for Syndra to be involved, at least at the start of the fight. This is where Jie and Condi feel like they have the drop, but the Q misses. That Q did not miss game 3. This one misses here, and then this is definitely G2 taking full steam ahead.
Yeah, now is WE going for a risky play to begin with, but then mis-executing on that risky play. And huge punish by G2 here. Really well done.
And this is the beginnings of the Trick Kazakhs, right, which we saw underperforming earlier in the tournament, only one game, but definitely a lackluster performance this time around with a couple early kills, definitely able to aid in those assassinations of the backline along with Expect.
Yeah, and one of the big improvements I saw from Trick specifically was a huge increase in lane ganks and setting up counter ganks. You know, you remove a lot of risk when you do go for those. Communication with the lanes to remove the wards that you're going through those lanes, and then setting up for the counter ganks. Those paid off so many times.
Yeah, and I think one thing that can happen in best of ones is you're playing a different jungle style every single game with all the fantastic junglers we had here at the tournament. Mystic ganked more than pretty much any other jungler in this tournament, and specifically the counter ganks. Oh yeah, sorry, Condi ganked.
All good, all good. I was like, that'd be interesting though.
Yeah, Mystic, the Kog'Maw ganks were lethal, but really, the fact that Trick was able to set up so many of those counter ganks, it felt like he got inside the head of him throughout the best of 5 series, and that's something European junglers talk about a lot when they're playing against G2, is the way he can learn throughout the series. So just another handout to him.
We asked him to step up, he did. We will also in a moment be able to hear from Expect and get his thoughts on the series from the top lane here for G2, but I want to push us forward to a couple more replays. This next one, our final Acer replay of the day. G2 in the top lane, 4-for-0. This really puts the kibosh on. I love the fancy feat there by Perks.
Yeah, and this is another one of those plays where we talk about, you know, Team WE not accounting for all of the members of G2, going all in with imperfect information, and a huge, not only, you know, Trick counter gank, but the entire team sets this one
And then Sven ends up cleaning it up. Remember, he had kind of just flashed with very little pressure on him before the start of this fight, and yet could play clean up on the AD carry, which is not something you'd expect. And again, they didn't have the information. It was relentless aggression from WE when it didn't really feel like they needed to be that aggressive.
All right, but I feel like we got to take a look at the final fight of the series as a whole. This one, again, starting in the mid lane, goes to the Baron, back to the mid lane. A whole lot of craziness. Perfectly encapsulates this entire series in my head.
I mean, he started off with a really deep teleport from Expect, getting into the back line. And still at this point in the fight, you're not sure who's going to win, but the fact that G2 can play front to back, they had such easy target acquisition and no pressure on the backside, meant that they took control.
Yeah, as soon as they have them on the run, able to split the team apart and then run after the first line, taking out one member at a time.
Yeah, it's the continuation of the play as well, though, because Tom Kench had really been the get-out-of-jail card for Team W, and they're finally able to focus him. They then no longer have something to save them. Channeling the taunt from Expect does not allow Condi to make it into that pit. They even just wait out the Guardian Angel because they have so much time with this Baron, and they get the safe secure.
And you can tell how secure they feel in this game, right? They pull off the Baron multiple times to be able to go for the kills. There's no need to go for any risky smites.
That's an adaptation, of course, because the first Baron was stolen in this game, so a lot cleaner. Executions, wards, and all the brushes. They knew exactly when Lee Sin was coming in, and they just bulldozed down the mid lane, this time with Baron, this time with 5 members, and WE had no answer.
And while the theme of best of 5s is adaptation, let's talk about a player who adapted it. You already hit it a little bit, Jad. Trick going to receive player of the series for this one, mainly for exactly as we asked for. Him coming in, showing us a different champion, bringing that Olaf back in the pool, then pulling the bans later on after a couple good carry games on that Olaf.
And that's why the redemption storyline for so many of these players continues, and it's in a different form because Trick's first week was subpar. It was something that was scrutinized by everyone. Anyone, whether you're a lay analyst or someone, a team analyst, you saw Trick underperforming. We need to see something new, and he begun with the Olaf pick, which is something that we didn't see in week 1.
Yeah, very few people pulling out the Olaf aside from Peanut playing it a couple of games, and then also drawing Ivern bans and then still succeeding on the Kazakhs. That's just not sentences we thought we would be saying after the group stage and the way Trick was playing, but several clutch moments for Trick throughout the series.
Yeah, weird to say that a team's top underperformer from a group stage would become their MVP in a sense moving into the bracket stage, but he's done just that. Of course, if we look ahead, he's going to have to continue with that consistency up against the likes of Peanut, right? Another jungler who will not let you breathe for a moment on the Rift.
Oh yeah, things get much more difficult as we move forward, and these guys definitely have a big task ahead of them. We'll give them tonight, though, to celebrate, long live the kings of Europe.
They have 19 hours of like, man, we're the greatest.
But while we do, give Trick his just due here in terms of how he performed in this series, I do think we also have to give a nod back to Perks. Again, looking at those first 2 games specifically, even in that 3rd game, or rather 4th game, playing the counter matchup, Syndra into Fizz, many times we saw sidesteps of skill shots actually be the initiate of the fight, giving permission to G2 to turn it back around.
Yeah, I mean, while Trick may be, most improved for the team, Perks was the rock for this team. The entire tournament, huge tournament for him, and definitely congratulations as well.
Yeah, I really loved the way, even when he was behind, he was still able to be relevant in team fights, oftentimes flanking on Syndra. Extremely close second for player of the series to me is Perks.
Absolutely. Now, with their win, G2 Esports have earned their spot in the finals versus SK Telecom T1. That will decide who walks away the 2017 Midseason Invitational champion. Now, I know, Kobe, you want to give them the night to celebrate, but we got to talk about the series.
3-1. They've already won.
They already missed out. Perfect. All of their series, they win 3-1.
I knew it was scripted.
It definitely is, right? I mean, let's be real, though. They did win in 3-1. I think it will also be a boon to their confidence, though, to have taken the loss, know that they can rebound, right? We always talk about how important that is, reacting to losses. They didn't let this one throw them. They come back and win game 4.
Those are seeds, by the way. Everyone calm down. Number 1 seed, number 3 seed. Relax.
Right, absolutely. All right, but let's talk about the lane matchups maybe across the board while we have time. Still trying to set up for that interview with Expect, so we do have the time. Let's start in the top lane with Expect then. Once again, you got Expect versus 957, Expect versus Huni. Very different monster.
I mean, even the bans will be interesting. Because remember, there was a lot of Fiora bans against Expect this series. Not something we expected, something that he's played, but certainly not something you'd necessarily respect him for. So you have to imagine there may be more Fiora bans, but they might actually have to come from the G2 side, because Flash Wolves felt like they had to ban Fiora every game.
Yeah, and the insane thing about playing against SKT is you match up almost every lane, any position, and SKT is going to come out on top.
Right.
The one place where a G2 I feel like might be able to compete with SKT would be in the draft phase, right? We know SKT is incredibly versatile, but I thought Young Bucks drafts today were far better than Ohms from WE. And if they can find some type of edge, build on the momentum, right? There's that chance they could beat SKT, but I mean, no one is expecting it to be likely.
Yeah, we know it's an uphill battle, but getting set up for success from your coach is going to feel good coming out of Champion Select. Within that top lane matchup, I imagine Galio as well will be highly contested, right? On top of the carries still coming up and being potentially played, the Galio was played a lot by Huni throughout the group stages.
The Galio definitely, and as well the Rumble. There will be a big difference in Rumbles compared to the 957 Rumble that we saw and Huni's Rumble. That is legendary.
All right, with a little bit more time, let's go ahead and move down to the bot lane then. Sven and Mithy versus Bang and Wolf. Again, we talk about these guys probably being the best in their role on SKT, at least within this tournament, possibly worldwide. Okay, what do we feel about this matchup? Because there was a lot of attention from both teams in this series to the bot lane. So many of the games opened up with large team fights in that bot lane. Do we see it developing the same way tomorrow?
I mean, my first impression is that G2 have to force a mismatch somewhere. They have to try and target one role and get ahead. And is that going to be banning the shielding supports? That doesn't feel like it works against SKT. Is it going to be trying to find Expect Galio with, say, Fiora and all the other soft counters like Fizz banned away? So I feel like they can't really target the bot lane because SKT has so much flexibility in that role.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see against Flash Wolves, they clearly wanted to try and get kills early on Bang and Wolf, and that ended up backfiring. I feel like the way Sven and Mithy play the lane isn't to dominate, it is to win or to scale. And that's actually something I think they could be able to do against Bang and Wolf, and then it would become about how they play the map.
Yeah, and one of the big ways that Sven and Mithy got ahead in this one, in addition to the Thresh and being able to go for playmaking supports like that, was to have Trick with these lane ganks and constant pressure on keeping up wards in the side brush.
Also, can we acknowledge in the loss that they sustained, Mithy in 2 of those final team fights getting clutch flays. One to keep the Shen flash taunt out, and then the other, the flash flay to get Shen back in for the shutdown. Now, of course, didn't net the win, but just again, mechanical prowess from all these players. It's good to see them, again, kind of shirk this this kind of aura around them that they had failed internationally before, and now they're stepping up and performing individually. A lot of confidence in this squad.
Yeah, Mithy as well slumped early on in the spring split, so to come in and make a lot of big plays on the international stage like this, another big confidence builder.
All right, now for more on today's win, let's go ahead and check in with Shox, who's standing by with G2's top laner.
Thank you very much, guys. I also wanted to take a minute to talk to Expect. Obviously, also very happy after this win. And I just want to ask you, after all the criticism and after all you've been through with the team, what does it mean for you to beat WE and make it to the MSI final?
우선 승리를 축하드리고요. 그동안 이제 여러 곳에 뭐 비난과 살짝 좀 의심을 받았지만 이렇게 WT를 꺾고 결승전 진출한 소감이 어떻게 되시는지 말씀해 주세요.
일단 이겨서 되게 좋고요. 경기력도 나쁘지 않고 저희가 되게 잘한 것 같아서 저희 스스로 되게 만족하고 기분 되게 좋아요.
First of all, I'm just really glad that we won the series, and I'm also it feels good that our performance was also as what we expected. And overall, it's a really great series for us.
It was a great performance, and it seems that there's really been a change to G2 from the group stage to now. And then you personally, we've heard some of the comms where you were very active in making the calls. Do you feel like there's been a switch or a change within you and your personal play as well?
G2 팀의 경기력이 조별 예선에서 이제 4강전 올라오면서 점점 더 나아졌다는 평가를 받고 있는데 익스펙 선수도 이제 점점 커뮤니케이션에 있어서 더 적극적으로 콜을 내리고 이제 콜에 참여한다는 이런 평가를 받고 있는데 그에 대해서 어떻게 생각하시나요?
일단 저희가 경기력이 원래 처음에 나쁜 건 아니었어요. 연습 때도 되게 잘 됐고, 근데 이제 픽에서도 조금씩 말리고 자신 있는 거를 못 가져가고 그러다 보니까 실수도 더 잦아지고 그러면서 저희가 이제 조금 가라앉았는데 저희 이번에 일주일 동안 연습 되게 열심히 하고 준비 많이 해서 저희 팀원들 다 이제 다 잘하고 커뮤니케이션도 다 잘하고 좋은 결과 나온 것 같아요.
So actually, starting from the beginning, we were all very confident coming to this tournament. But for the first few games, the pick and bans didn't go as we wanted them to be. So we didn't get the picks we wanted, and we made some mistakes following on. So our confidence kind of sank, and we weren't playing our own game style. But for the past week, we put a lot of time into our practice, and through that practice, we all gained back our confidence, and also our communication improved a lot. So I think that's why we've been playing a lot better.
Well, it showed you guys had fantastic games versus WE, but now the final boss in your first final and your best results so far, you're going to face the world champion SKT. What can we expect? No pun intended.
이제 마지막으로 끝판왕 SKT랑 붙게 되었습니다. 이제 작년에도 그렇고 재작년에도 그렇고 세계대회 우승한 SKT를 이제 붙는 소감에 대해서 말씀해 주세요.
일단 세계 최고의 팀인데 이제 되게 잘하는 팀이잖아요. 근데 저희가 충분히 지금 이 기세를 타서 충분히 좋은 경기력 보여주고 이길 수도 있다 생각을 해요. 저희가 이제 저희 오늘처럼 이렇게 경기 잘하고 콜 잘 맞고 하면은 충분히 내일도 가능성 있다 생각해요. 그래서 저희 더 이제 밴픽 열심히 준비해서 좋은 픽 가지고 이제 자신감 있게 해서 내일도 좋은 경기 보여드리도록 하겠습니다.
Of course, SKT is not the best team in the world. But if we just keep up with this flow and our performance, I think we actually have a chance to beat them. So if we just if we get the pick and bans as we want to be, and if we just keep up the communication and the performance we had for this series, then we can have a good matchup against SKT.
Well, I am looking forward to it. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you, Homan, as well. And now back over to you guys.
Thank you very much. Great to hear from Expect on the team's expectations going into tomorrow and the work that they did leading up to this week, saying that a lot of it was, adapting to the tournament meta. Again, something that we talk about every international tournament is the meta itself and how it evolves and can throw certain teams for a loop.
Yeah, being able to narrow in on the Galio and find a pick for Trick that he could succeed on are adaptations they made after the group stage and really made it for the bracket stage, and now we'll see if it can carry them through.
They'll have to continue to adapt tomorrow. Now, throughout the event, we've been checking in on the fandom battle to see who is leading the charge and showing their regional pride. And for the third week in a row, it's the home crowd that's holding first. With the tournament wrapping up tomorrow, that means the Brazil server has earned a bonus IP weekend as well as a special MSI icon. Now, as we crown our champion tomorrow, we'll take a look back at the best moments of MSI, and we want to hear from you. So tweet at LOL Esports and tell us your favorite plays reaching all the way back to Sao Paulo with the hashtag MSI 2017, and we'll relive them together as we close out the tournament. That's going to do it for today, though. So for myself, these guys, and everyone here bringing you MSI 2017, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. local time for the final fight.